Well, hello everybody. It's me again, Mitch. I did this yesterday and you actually listened and took me seriously. So again, today I'm going to record a little brief introduction to another one of those videos where I surprised even myself. I don't know where this stuff comes from, but out it comes. And I think standing out in my backyard barefoot in the sun and just talking into a microphone and camera, I came up with what I think might be some very, very useful insights for you. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you do watch it all the way to the end. Oh, hey, good morning, everybody. I'll be right with you. Let me have a little more of my morning coffee. Okay. As you can tell, and as you probably noticed, I'm a morning person. I love the mornings. I like to get out here. I like to get out here, get my bare feet in the grass, take my glasses off, get some of that good ultraviolet morning sunlight in my eyes, and it just makes me feel good, wakes me up. Great way to start the day. Great way to start the day. This morning I want to talk or ask the question or pose the question: has carnivore become a religion, a cult? It certainly has the makings of one. We tend, as a species, since we, maybe even before we got conscious thoughts, because even animals create hierarchies, live in societies. There are rules, even though they've never been written down. There are rules of behavior. There's a pecking order. So this is not an unnatural thing, but once we started thinking and once we started writing things down and trying to consciously control everything, we found it was necessary to make rules that we must follow in everything. These rules are in every aspect of our life, and we write these rules down. We write them down in rule books or law books or religious texts. They don't just spell out the rules, they spell out the consequences and the punishment for disobeying these rules. That's a little bit where it's different in religion and society with our laws. And we don't have enough laws. We have to have different lawmaking bodies from a global level right on down to your homeowners association to make an even reduced and more reduced set of laws for the 4 or 5 houses in your community to have to live by, lest you suffer the consequences. What is it with this need of us to make rules and assign punishments if we deviate from those rules? And then most of these laws and rules are only used by people who are seeking power to manipulate the rest of us. And here we are. in our society where if you break any of these rules, they're so complicated that you can't even defend yourself. You have to hire a lawyer or somebody to defend you who supposedly knows all of these rules. But how could anybody know the contents of every book and every page and every paragraph in a law library? The people who made these rules even forgot about them. But we have the need. We have the need to have rules. I don't know if that's such a good thing, because we also have instincts. We've discovered as carnivores that instincts, if you listen to your instincts, you're better guided in how to do things right than you might be guided by a set of arbitrary rules that somebody else laid down. Governments make rules, and governments like to be involved in every aspect of our lives. Every aspect of our lives. Those in government seem to feel the need to make rules and enforce them for virtually everything, especially in the name of protecting us from evil. So we formed government organizations like the Food and Drug Administration, like the United States Department of Agriculture, more and more government organizations to create more and more rules so that they can control more and more aspects of our lives. Right on down to what we put in our mouths, what's allowed to be sold to us. And of course, along come the greedy and power hungry and hijack these rules, influence their creation, and what do we end up with? What do we end up with in 1977? We end up with the U.S. dietary guidelines coming out of the U.S. government. And these guidelines told us what was bad to eat and what was healthy to eat. At the time, it wasn't widely known where the wisdom and knowledge and evidence came from for our federal government to make such bold claims. And this is not a little speech today talking about the origin of the ridiculous food guidelines that we have. This is talking about the fact that in our need, for some reason, to make more and more and more laws at every level, from our religions to our governments to our schools, again, like I said, right on down to the Girl Scouts, every club you've been a member of, every neighborhood you've lived in has had rules. How do we remember all of these rules? And as it pertains to us on Carnivore, I titled this video, Has Carnivore Become a Religion? Is it like a religion? Somebody comes along and defines something. The carnivore diet. For want of better information, let's credit that to Sean Baker. Sean Baker wrote a book, 7 years ago, called The Carnivore Diet. So we'll credit Sean Baker with coming up with the carnivore diet. And in his diet, he described just eating meat, don't eat plants. I haven't read the book. I don't read any of those books anymore because they're usually filled with extemporaneous information that just overcomplicates things, adds too many rules, and makes these things impossible to do. Because the more complicated it gets, the harder it's going to be to do, the harder it's going to be to keep track of. For God's sakes, if you listen to everybody that tells you how to do or how to stay on a carnivore lifestyle, with all the things you need to consider when it comes to the supplements you take, to the timing of your meals, right on down to a good old Andrew Huberman about whether drink coffee or don't drink coffee, get sun or don't, ground yourself, strap yourself to a grounding mat in bed. Don't undercook your food, don't overcook your food, don't burn your food. This causes cancer, that causes cancer, this is a carcinogen. Got a comment yesterday. Woman says, my biggest worry is that I may burn my food a little bit and get cancer. How the hell can you live? How the hell can you execute any eating regimen when you have 10,000 little nitpicky things that are the most important thing and the thing you worry about the most? You can't. You can't. To succeed, you have to forget all of that stuff except for just a very few basic things that aren't hard to keep track of. The basic rules for a carnivore diet are: eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, keep an eye out for nutrients you think might be missing in your food, and try to supplement them. And that usually means just electrolytes. Maybe some vitamin D. But the minute you spend your day parading up and down supplement aisles with lists of these things as long as your arm and chemical formulas telling you that if you take this much vitamin D, you need to take that much vitamin K2. We can't keep up with that. Nobody will. And interestingly enough, all that does is foul up your attempt to get healthy, because you're putting things in your body based on what somebody else said that you don't need. So in a lot of respects, yes, carnivore has become a religion. That is not what it is. It is not a religion. There are no religious leaders. There are no lawgivers and punishers. There are none of that, none of those things associated with religion in general. Because what happens with religion? A particular religion has a set of laws and rules laid down. Invariably, members of that religion don't like the new rules that are laid down and protest. They branch off into a sect of their own, rewrite the rules more to their liking, until a small fraction of those people don't like everything about the rules and decide to refine them a little more. And what do we have today when it comes to religion? We have thousands of different groups believing thousands of different variations of that one theme. Each of them thinking that they're right and everybody else is wrong, and by God, if I can't get you to believe that, I may have to kill you. That's the state of religion in this world. And I say that not condemning anybody for being religious, and certainly allowing people to believe whatever they want to believe. But let's see how that relates to the carnivore diet. Our carnivore diet is splitting itself into camps. And these camps are making their own rules and becoming sects of their own. We argue over what's the definition of carnivore. Depends on who you think defined it. I don't think there's any definition. You eat animal products, period. But no, you're not a real carnivore if you drink coffee. God forbid. We're getting stupid, folks. We're getting stupid when it comes to this, and it's the simplest thing in the world. It's not a religion. It's not a cult. It's a way of eating that goes back as far as the origins of the human race. That's why it makes sense. It's not a way of eating based on crap that we manufactured over the last 100 years that we call food, that does provide energy and does sustain life because of the sugar content of this food, but falls way short in the nutrients and the other tens of thousands of compounds that we need, that we get from the food we evolved on. Carnivore is not a religion. No rules, just right. Remember that? No rules, just right. The rules that you need, the things you need to remember, just one little saying. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. The more you overcomplicate something, the more you bring more rules and laws with consequences into it, the less and less people are going to sustain it. It just becomes too much friggin' work. And when you have to hire an accountant to keep up with the rules, like you would hire a tax attorney, when you have to have your own personal lab technician to take blood tests every 2 days and interpret the results for you, when you have to have your own farm because somebody told you that you have to eat a cow that's been hand massaged and raised in a pristine pasture by monks or something as absurd as that, and that if you can't do that, you're not following the rules and laws and you cannot succeed. So what's the alternative? Well, go back and eat sugar. It's stupid, folks. It is just stupid. Keep it simple as hell. That's how I do it, and it works. My life is very simple. I don't sweat the small stuff. To that lady who told me that her biggest worry is that she might brown food a little too much, that's absurd. Our ancestors burnt their food in open fires. That makes the food better. It makes it taste good. It's called the Maillard reaction. It's the thing that chefs strive for, barbecue masters strive for. That stuff never hurt the human race, and it never will. What hurts the human race is when we smear sugar all over it. So don't smear sugar all over it. There's a camp that tells you, well, you're reducing the nutrient content by about 10% when you overcook your. Who cares? Who the hell cares? Give me a break. So I'm only getting 90% nutrient instead of 0 from the diet everybody else is eating. I'll take 3 extra bites. How's that? Because it just tastes so friggin' good, because it's been caramelized a little bit. The things people don't come up with to overcomplicate things that are so intrinsically simple. I hope I'm making my point to you folks. Carnivore is not a religion. This is not a religion. There are no rules that you need to follow to a T or you get excommunicated. That does not happen. Stop. Stop treating this as such. Live your life. Do the best you can. Adhere to as much of it as you can. If you stray, if you drink coffee, if you puff on a cigar like I do, that doesn't mean you can't get amazing benefits from the part of this that you do. And the only thing, the only law or rule that I have, that I stay on top of all the time, the only consideration, being a raging carboholic that I am, is I look out for is what I'm doing going to trigger my addiction and cause cravings. And anything, my friends, that doesn't do that, as long as I adhere to eating the right foods, doing the best I can as far as the quality and the preparation of these foods, that's the only law in my law book, is stop it if it causes you to have a craving. And that's about it. Keep it simple. I don't want to call you stupid. You're not stupid people. You can't be stupid if you're watching this video. Something has gotten to you that made sense. Relax. Relax. Enjoy. Enjoy the morning sun. Enjoy the grass and your bare feet. It's not a rule. It's not something you have to put on your calendar or schedule. It's just something that feels good. And if you don't do it, that's okay too. But it's amazing how we tend to do and we tend to repeat the things that are pleasant to us and we enjoy. It's amazing how good the food is when we're eating the right food and how we get used to and enjoy the flavors of the food that's really what we're supposed to eat. Let nature take over. You'll know what feels good and you'll know what tastes good. And eventually you'll know what's poison. You won't want to eat it anymore. And that is what we're all striving for. It took me a while. To accomplish it. But I'm at a point right now where I have absolutely no desire to eat the crap. I feel sorry for the people that do. I understand everything there is to understand about how we got here and why we want to eat that crap. And that enabled me to overcome it. And that understanding is a good thing to have. It's a good thing to have. So hopefully this little lecture coming off the top of my head has made a point or two that makes sense to you. So while you're thinking about that, while you're thinking about how to simplify this as much as you can and not sweat the small stuff, while you're thinking about that, take the rest of the day off. But eat meat.